Right, so welcome back to Road to Sub 11. So this is the 8th installment of this series. So this is from December, like the end of December until kind of the start of March really. So all my training that's been done is basically like in this video. I've not included every single rep because the video would be way too long if I included every rep, but this is like at least one or two reps from each session. So this session here was the 22nd of December, I'm pretty sure. Drove up to the Emirates because it was like pretty cold out and I was wanting to get some good sprint sessions in to end the year off nicely. So got a nice little 1/10 of a second PR on the fly 10 with a 0.99 on the free lap. So I was super stoked to get that. The reason it was a 10th as well is because last time I'd actually tested my 10 meter fly, I hit 1.09, but that was coming back from injury, so it wasn't really an accurate representation of probably what I would have been capable of back then. But yeah, then after that, I had this really awesome speed endurance session here. Managed to go 11:16 on the free lap, which was 11.3 from first movement. It's from a 3 point stance as well. By this point, I'd really not done like any block work to be honest, so I wasn't really going out of blocks at this point. But yeah, I was super happy to kind of end the year off with some great PRs, like a massive 100 meter PR, massive fly 10 PR. So it was great to kind of end the year off with that. Unfortunately though, so on the 31st, this was my last sprint session here. And the day after that, I did some jumps and I got this slight kind of hamstring injury. It wasn't even really an injury, it was more like it felt like it was gonna get injured if I did sprint, so I was like, right, we'll kind of like chill out for a bit. So I think I took about 11 days off of sprinting maximally, and you'll see I did this little kind of like weird high knee frequency thing just to kind of build confidence back up. I found it as a good kind of way to gauge if I'm ready to come back to sprints. But yeah, then after that, first session back was a 120 speed endurance session. It was like 2 times 120, and I felt kind of good enough to push sprints again. But then on the Wednesday session, I did a fly 10. I think I hit like 10 meters per second on that rep, and I just didn't feel like my quads felt like they were kind of tight after that. So I was like, right, I'm going to call it a day because I don't want to get injured like this early on in the year. Then after that, went into kind of a strength block where I literally just sprinted like once a week with sleds. I think it was just Wednesday. I did either 10 or 15 meters on the sleds. And you'll see I did that one session where I did a 20 meter. So I did 2 times 20 meter on a Saturday session. That was like the Saturday session was supposed to be a jump day, but I kind of just used the 2 times 20 as like a warm up to the jump day. And at that point, I think the day before that is when I actually entered into the Scottish Students Athletics Championships. So that's why I was kind of doing non-resisted sprints, because I was like, I don't want to kind of go in just having done sled work. Then the week after that, I did the 30, I think 3 times 30, 2 times 60 meters, just to kind of again get used to running without a sled. And the 60 meters went pretty bad. It was like 7:39 from first movement, I think, or maybe 7.4 from first movement. So honestly, was not not feeling that fast. But that was like a bad day in general. I'm not gonna really go too in detail with it, but it wasn't great. Then the week after, as you can see from some of the footage on the screen at the moment, this is the Scottish Students Athletics Championships. This was my first ever like proper meet. I've done one in the past. I did one at school. It was like a 100. For the regional championships, I think I finished last because I kind of slipped out the blocks, or like out the start, not out the blocks. And I think it was like hand timed as well, so I didn't even like find out how fast I ran at that meet. So I'll have to try and like look up the results. I'll see if I can find them at some point. But yeah, that's my competition history before this meet essentially. But yeah, managed to finish third in the final, as you can see from this clip. And I wasn't using blocks as well. It kind of looks like I was using blocks in the other video, but as you can see there, I wasn't using blocks because I just not really use them in training. So I thought it wasn't really a good idea just to go into a meet and not use blocks, or like just try and use blocks when I've not done it before. So yeah, I just kind of decided I wouldn't use blocks. But yeah, finished third in a time of 7.05, and I calculated the splits to be roughly a 291 to 289 split for the 30 meter fly. So that's from like 30 to the 60, which is the finish line. And I think this start was like between 3.95 and 3.97. But yeah, I definitely think I can build on those like outdoors. once I'm kind of like healthy and ready to go. But yeah, then after that, after the meet, I was like, right, we better work on some blocks because I've never done that, and if I want to compete and be more competitive, then it would be a good idea to do that. So that's what I did. Worked on more blocks. We did a lot less, did less resisted sprinting and a lot more kind of just free sprinting like this. But yeah, you'll see my initial kind of block technique wasn't amazing. I think you'll see in just a second. Yeah, here's the video here. I took some slow-mos of my blocks and it wasn't amazing. Like, I don't know, I feel like there's some things I could have worked on, but I think now it's looking a lot better. But you'll see that in the next installment of this series, because this is just the indoor series, like the indoors season part of the series. But yeah, then coming into my next meet, I just kind of done, basically this is the training. This was the week of the meet, so I'd ran a pretty slow 30 meters. It was like, I think 4:18 on the free lap, or 4:12. So I wasn't happy with that, but I think the conditions weren't really great on that day, so it's not really too bad considering. Then a nice little 30-meter fly PR. It came out as a 2:97 on the free lap, even though it adds up to a 2:98 with those splits, because the splits were getting picked up. So there was this other person that had the free lap system, so I was like getting like an 8-meter split and a 12-meter split as well. So that kind of was a bit strange, but yeah, it was pretty fun to get the 30-meter fly and a nice 30-meter fly PR as well. I think that was like a .18 PR. And then this was the final meet here, so it didn't really go amazing. I ran like a 7.07, so a little bit off what I'd ran like at the meet previously. But yeah, I was like happy to at least get another competition and get some experience in, and not too bad to only be like, I guess like 2 tenths or 200ths off my all-time PR. But yeah, that's kind of really it for the indoors season. Now on to outdoors, so yeah, you'll find out in the next episode, I guess, how that goes.